Hey guys, what's up? Today I am so excited to share with you my family's secret chocolate chip cookie recipe, and we always get so many compliments on this. People ask us to bake them all the time, and anytime I have my friends try them, they always say it is hands down the best chocolate chip cookie they've ever had. That is because our secret ingredient that we put inside of it is actually vanilla pudding, and this is going to make the cookie seem as if it's not completely all the way cooked through, even though it is, and that's because it has kind of like that gooey center, and they stay nice and chewy and just mushy even after you've taken them out of the oven. You don't have to eat them same day, but I do think they taste the best straight out of the oven. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. To get started, I already washed my hands, but now I'm going to go over and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Now we get to do the actual fun part, which is the baking. So I'm going to start off in the bowl of my electric mixer with a paddle attachment. You can also just use a hand mixer if that's what you have. I am taking 2 sticks of room temperature butter. It's very important that you actually let it set at room temperature. You don't try to heat it up in the microwave if you forget it in the fridge when you're ready to bake, just because it does change the texture and consistency of the cookies, and it also will bake at a different temperature throughout, with the butter being a little bit colder. Yeah, okay, so basically, I'm going to turn this down and I'm going to start beating this pretty slowly, and then you can go up a little bit. Then I have 3/4 cup granulated cane sugar and 3/4 cup firmly packed brown sugar. I'm going to mix both of these in, probably half of each of them at a time, just so it really has a good amount of time to completely combine. Now I'm going to keep adding the second half of the plain white cane sugar. Speed it up a little. Now I'm going in with some of the brown sugar. Now I'm just going to take a spatula and make sure that I get all of this down on the sides. You really want to make sure that everything's getting combined and you're not going to be left with like a dry patch at the end. Now I have 2 eggs, and these are both at room temperature, so they've been sitting out just as long as the butter, and this is a very important step also to make sure that everything is at a consistent temperature when it goes into the oven so that it bakes evenly. And I'm going to start by just pouring one of the eggs in and turning this on to whisk it in. And now I'm adding the second egg in. Ooh, that was like food porn right there. That was so good. Now I'm just going to get the sides down with a spatula again. Continue beating, and I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of organic vanilla extract. I do think I can taste the difference between organic and non-organic. So we're gonna have berry vanilla cookies today. I think that's gotta be about a teaspoon, because this is half a teaspoon. So I was gonna do 2 of these, but I got a lot in there. So you wanna put in 1 teaspoon of organic pure vanilla extract. Then we are going in with the secret ingredient. This is the vanilla pudding. So this is a 5.1 ounce box. Sometimes they're in smaller quantities, so you want to make sure that you have about 5 ounces. I prefer the flavor French vanilla for this. That's what my family uses, but I could not find that in my grocery store. They just had vanilla, so it's going to have to do. Now I'm going to pour this in and keep combining. So I'm going to do about half, turn it up. Now I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I have 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to, my oven is preheated, I'm going to go ahead and whisk all the dry ingredients right here together. Well, just these 3 dry ingredients. So just these 3 ones. I'm going to whisk this together to combine. Then I'm going to gradually add this into my mixer. So I'm going to start, dropped a little. I'm going gonna start with about half. And the last one. If you are going to be baking a lot, I definitely recommend investing in a stand-up mixer. It is something that has completely changed the way I bake, and I recommend it. All right, now is the fun part. We are going to add 1 cup of dry oats, not the instant oats, but these are just the dried Quaker oats that you cook on the stove top. These I would not consider to be oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. They are definitely chocolate chip cookies with just a little bit of oatmeal that gives an added texture, and it's just really delicious, but it's not so much oatmeal in it where it's overwhelming. So I'm just gonna combine that. And this is where the batter starts to get really thick. Now you want to add in your chocolate chips. I really recommend splurging on the Ghirardelli brand. I think it just tastes a lot better than the typical like Nestle Toll House ones. I also like using Hershey sometimes, but I know it's a little bit more expensive, but with the semi-sweet morsels, I really do taste a difference in the Ghirardelli. So I'm going to add this into my mixer, and I actually add the entire bag. I think the recipe calls for like 3/4 of the bag, but I like my chocolate chip cookies to be chocolate chip cookies. So that's what I'm gonna do. And when you are combining this, you don't actually want to completely mix the chips all the way in. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to kind of fold it in. So I just say very gently be sprinkling them in as it's on a slow speed. Don't try to really beat it in because that can actually break some of them. Then you get more of like a brown, muddy chocolate chip cookie instead of like a cookie with chocolate chips in it. Okay, so gotta get started. All right, and now our batter is done. Now you are not supposed to eat this right now because it has raw eggs in it, but I've already had E. coli, and I think that lightning pretty much doesn't strike twice, so it is so delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this pedal attachment off. We do not need that anymore. And then for me to get the best equally sized chocolate chip cookies, I like to use a small ice cream scoop. This is not a standard size ice cream scoop. This is a small one. I got it, I think, at Sur La Table, and it actually makes the perfect size cookies that completely cook evenly, and they look like you bought them from a bakery because they're all uniform and the same. It's weird how serious I am about my chocolate chip cookies, but it's a big deal to my family. Like, I'm sharing this recipe with you, and some of them may not be that. Now that I have the size and approximate shape of these right, I go around and just kind of make them a little rounder, okay? And then I do a quick press down in the center. Not too flat, but just enough. Now you want to put these in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. I start to watch them around the 7-minute mark because there's nothing worse than a burnt chocolate chip cookie. These cookies might not look completely done right now, but this is how you want them to look because as they're on this hot pan for an additional 5 minutes, they are going to continue cooking from the bottom. So you know they're ready to come out when you can see this golden brown rim around the bottom edge, and then you leave them on the sheet for 5 minutes before you transfer them onto a cooling sheet. And that's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you leave it in a comment below if you try this recipe and what you think about it, and I'll see you with my next video. Bye. That would have been so bad. Okay. And you're running, what's your going to?